Okay, so thank you everybody for joining the session. Michael is looking forward to presenting the CA OPSMVS Event Management and Automation Alert Manager. You're all on mute. If you wish to ask a question, then please put it in the chat. We will try and save the questions up for the end unless there's anything particularly urgent that you want to ask, in which case I can repeat your question to Michael at that time. Remember, please, at the end to provide feedback. You can do that through the Bring Your Own Agenda. I think that's about it. I shall now hand you over to Michael.
Thank you, Anna. Hello and welcome. My name is Michael Hotovec, and I've been working for Broadcom, formerly CA mainframe division, for around 5 years. I've been mainly developer for a product named Automation Point, part of which for the last year or so was a new component named Alert Manager, which serves as a event management solution for CA OPSMVS. And exploration of this particular component will be basis of this presentation. So first, disclaimer: everything is for informational purposes only and subject to change. So I believe you will have good time to read this disclaimer later in the slides. So first, the Alert Manager is a component of Automation Point, and here to give you a sort of overview, high-level overview of where the Alert Manager actually fits in. So you can actually see that the Alert Manager is running deployed on Tomcat on the right, and Alert Manager itself is managed, or at least most of the alert stuff related to how the alerts are received and edited is managed by Automation Point. So Automation Point is a requirement for the Alert Manager. And the Alert Manager, the primary way you would be accessing it as a user is through web browser. So Alert Manager is a part of our sort of family of products called MTCA, which stands for Mainframe Team Center Automation, which allows you to access to several tools related specifically to our OPSMVS product and Automation Point product. Even though the Alert Manager is integrated with the MTCA OPSMVS part, the MTCA itself is not a pre-requirement for the Alert Manager. And so I will not be focusing on the Ops part in this particular presentation, though Automation Point, and for Automation Point even Alert Manager, is capable of communicating with OPSMVS. So now sort of more of a detailed look. So where do the alerts that Alert Manager can actually see come from? So mainly they are actually coming from OPSMVS. OPSMVS is capable of collecting alerts or messages that are then later transformed into alerts through various other applications like LetMaster, SysView, DSP, and those are then forwarded through a communication channel to the Automation Point. Additionally, there's also possibility of using the mainframe operational intelligence for some machine learning capabilities to be used for identification of the alerts in the future. And then there's when the alerts are passed to Automation Point, they are stored into Alert Manager database, and the alert manager can then be, alerts in the alert manager can then be viewed in your browser when you connect and authenticate. It's not there's no strict limit to what products can actually raise alerts. Basically, anything that is capable of communicating in some way with OPSMVS can then, through OPSMVS, raise an alert inside the alert manager. In addition to the alerts that comes from Ops, the automation point itself is actually, it's an off-platform automation tool. So it can actually connect and emulate the mainframe sessions. So it can connect to a mainframe console and then scrape the screen and look for specific messages. And then based on the automation point rules inside automation point configuration, these messages can then trigger some alerts to be raised or updated or even closed. So a brief overview of what Alert Manager features are actually provided. So the Alert Manager provides those that are mentioned, which is capability of receiving alerts. You can then monitor them in your web browser. You can also manage them by closing them, assign people to them. Then there's the Alert Manager is part of the automation point. The automation itself can raise alerts by rules engine or by reg scripts. So automation point provides the ability to run your own reg scripts that can be triggered manually or by rules, and those then can in some way interact with the alerts as well. Then Alert Manager can proactively, or you can then manually also notify people with regards to any specific alerts. You can also, through Alert Manager, I will be showing this later, you can also execute response commands in specific mainframe session through the automation point. We also provide the hybrid capability, which means that you can have two Alert Manager instances running, which cover for each other. So if one of these servers goes down or maintenance or some crash or something like that, the other server is still capable of fully managing the alerts. So you actually can continue monitoring alerts like nothing happened. Then I will, into addition, the custom columns, I will explain this more later during demo. What those are, it's basically custom attributes for alerts. If there are some, if the default attributes of alerts are not sufficient to create custom attributes, you can customize layout on the in the web application. Then we provide an interface to service desk management. It's actually not just service desk. We provide a ticketing interface to multiple services like ServiceNow, Service 8, Service Desk, and several others. Then we allow you to monitor multiple servers from a single browser. So if you have multiple Alert Manager instances running, you can, in the same browser window, you can see alerts that are from that are coming from all of those servers. The security is handled on a resource per resource basis, which means basically for each user, you can restrict their access to specific resources. And based on this access, they can then interact with alerts, or they can even be restricted to seeing them. Yeah, so you can restrict access so that user cannot see resources that come from specific environments, for example. And then the last feature that we have added recently is analytical dashboard. which basically allows you to sort of give you a general overview about alerts on specific resources, what severity they have, yeah, and how many of them are, how many are open, how many are acknowledged by someone. So that's sort of the brief overview. So now I will go to show you the demo. So first, well, this is actually sort of misleading. This is actually not Alert Manager. This is Rules Manager, which is part of the MTCA, as I mentioned. And why I'm showing you this is that basically there's, if you're using the integration with MTCA, which I can state is not a requirement for the Alert Manager, you can then simply integrate them together. So you can just click between them. So if I would be clicking the Alert Manager here, I would be actually taken to Alert Manager. So this is the basic Alert Manager view, and I'll run the video to sort of show you around. So each alert, so we have a tab for open and closed alerts. Each alert is inside the view sort of in a table. Each line is a different alert. And each alert has its attributes. You have system and resource, which raise the alert. Then you have the text of the alert, usually a text of message that raised it. Then you have status of the alert, its severity. And on the left, you can actually see some unused attributes. And you can actually modify your layout. So if you click the settings, you can, if there are some attributes that you don't wish to see because they are either not used or don't have valid information, you can simply hide them. Then you can, some that you may consider valuable, show. For example, the counter shows you how many times alert has reoccurred before it was closed. And I apologize, I misclicked. And by drag and dropping, you can actually you can change the order of the attributes inside the table. Additionally, we allow, of course, to filter. So you can filter by severities. You can then clear the filters by unchecking it again. You can also search in a specific column. So here, if we would like to see an owner of an alert, we can search for Jane and we see which has been assigned to Jane. By clicking reset filters, we can reset the filters to default again. And of course, we allow also for sorting. We can actually sort consecutively by multiple columns. So here we can see that we sort by severity and then subsequently by date, which sort of groups these alerts by severities, but they are still sorted by date. So that's sort of the very basic view and of the alert manager. And now I would like to talk a bit about the attributes and what they actually mean. So the very first attribute is last updated, which sort of, which basically tells you when was the last time something happened with the alert. Yeah, it can either be that the alert has reoccurred or that someone has executed some action based on the alert. Then there's a date and time when the alert was created. Then there's system and resource which raised the alert. Actually, the resource, you actually don't have to specify the system when raising the alert, but the resource that is mandatory, that is always necessary for the alerts to be created, to be specified. And basically, when it comes to what is a resource and what is a system, we found that many customers actually consider resource and system to be something else. So we actually don't restrict on what you consider a system and resource. This entirely depends on your configuration. then each alert has, of course, unique identifier. And then there's text of the alert. In most cases, if it's as a result of some message that which caused as a reaction based on OPSMVS rules or automation point rules to raise an alert, you would usually put the message here. Then there's severity. Currently, we provide 5 severities, so they are in order of severity. There's critical, major, minor, warning, and there's info. The one that you cannot see is warning. That would be yellow. Yeah, they each have a different color code, and each have a different color code. There's a counter, which basically tells you how many times did the alert reoccur. So it sort of consolidates multiple reoccurrences of a single alert into one, so it doesn't clog your table. This can be turned off, so you can actually, if you would wish to see 173 instances of this particular alert, you are able to configure it that way. And then there's owner to basically, it's basically a user to which the alert has been assigned. Yeah, or it can be also a group of users. Next, one thing I would like to skip a few and talk about status. So whenever you are created, its status is new. And once it has been acknowledged or assigned by some group, it's promoted to assigned. And once the alert has been resolved or you have no need for it, you can close it. And once it's closed, its status is closed and it would be moved to closed alerts tab. Then there's the expiration time. So this actually tells you when the alert is supposed to expire. And what this means is that, well, the general usage is, for example, you have alerts that are raised for pure informational purposes and you don't want to react to them in some way, but you would still like to occasionally see them in here. So you don't want to, you still want them to be, you still want those alerts to be created. Yeah, but since they are just informational, you want them to automatically get cleared. So you can set information expiration time, and it can actually be set per alert. So when you are raising an alert, you can actually specify the expiration time, or you can in settings of the alert manager, you can set a specific expiration time for you can set a specific expiration time for each severity. Yeah, so for example, you could say that critical expires in several years, yeah, because you want those always closed manually, or you can set them to never expire. Or you can tell the info will close after a few minutes. Yeah? So if you expect lots of information messages, you can just keep them there for a few minutes, and then they will automatically close. Then additionally, we provide the capability to attach notes to each alert. So these can be edited by users. So each user can, assuming they have rights to edit, they can append notes to alert. Then there's ability to create tickets. As I mentioned previously, we provide ability to interface with ServiceNow, Service8. This is done through a component called the NIM-SM, which is one that we deploy, if enabled, we deploy together with Alert Manager on Tomcat. And that one interfaces with the Service8 and the NIM-SM on the Tomcat, then the interfaces with the service providers that they are using for your tickets. Additionally, you can actually use automation points rec scripts. Yeah, that the alert manager can tell automation point to run a rec script instead. So you can sort of, if the NIM-SM capabilities are not sufficient for you, you can use the rec script then to either run some commands or use custom REST API requests to raise a ticket and then update the ticket ID with the script. And here, additionally, I actually created for this presentation a column named region. It's actually empty. It's unused as of now, but this is what you can create custom columns. Yeah, we allow you to create several of them. And as an example, I have here region because that is not included in the default attribute that ours has. And when it comes to management of the alerts, we provide the capability of managing through bulk actions. So on top, you can see there are several buttons that got enabled once we started selecting the alerts. And here we can change the severity of the alert if we so desire. Alternatively, we can assign an over to alert. So here we can choose Jane Joe, and if we can also, assuming we have the notification capabilities configured, we can send an email in this example to Jane that an alert has been assigned to her. So actually, if we wait a while, you can see that the owner has been updated. And we can also execute there's also possibility of execute bulk action of closing the alerts. So we actually just close those two alerts and they would be moved to the close tab. So here we have a view of more of a detailed look of an alert. So if you select a specific alert by clicking on its ID, you actually get the detailed view of the alert. So we would see resource, where it came from, the alert ID with text, or on the site tab. And from here, you can actually manage the single alert specifically. So here we have selected the alert, and we will be able to change the severity, status, and order. And well, I will actually demonstrate it in another tour a bit later. And as I mentioned, we provide the capability of creating tickets. And here, one thing to note is that if you raise the ticket if you create a ticket for an alert, you actually can, the link would be clickable so that this will actually redirect you to your service provider for your ticket set service provider when we would be clicking on the ticket ID. So now here I would like to show you a bit how to interact with the alert details. So as I mentioned, we can assign severity. We can change the status here to closed by clicking the status. We would be able to change the owner, similar to bulk actions, basically. Then you can actually, here you can edit the notes, and then you can click to notify an owner or to create a ticket. So if we choose to create a ticket, what will happen is that we see that the ticket ID is new. Then once the ticket is created and processed by the service provider, it changed to a link. Additionally, we provide capability, sort of auditing capability, so we can view history. So here we can see when particular dates and time when a specific owner, specific user changed specific attributes, and you can also expand it by clicking the expand button. And if it's expanded, you can actually see details and values of which parameter exactly changed to which. On the bottom, you can actually export the history into a CSV file. And for example, here you can see that who raised the ticket. So we can see that we are logged in as tester when we're raising the ticket. And we can also see that previously the user tester has updated the notes. Additionally, we provide the capability through automation point. So the Open Console lets you basically send a command to a specific mainframe session that is opened on the automation point. Sorry. And basically, if you have administrator rights, you can actually assign it. Otherwise, the session would be generally assigned during the creation of the alerts. Though if you have administrator rights for managing the alerts from this specific resource, you can actually assign and change the session that's assigned to the alert. Yeah, so if the session is assigned, then you can actually simply send a command to that session. So here we would use some testing command. And then either by confirming through interrupt or by clicking run and close, we will then send the alert, the command to the session associated with the alert. And here you can see that the session has been assigned. Okay. So that sums up the basic usage of the alert manager when it comes to the front end. And then there's a so-called dashboard. Yeah, so so-called. It's a AP dashboard or alert manager dashboard. And basically what it provides you is an overview of from where the basically for each sort of is a per resource basis of viewing the alerts. Yeah, so for example, what you would do is you specify a specific view which is consolidation of specific resources. So here I have production 1 environment, production 2, and all up to production 12 in this example. Yeah, so if there would be no alerts for the particular production environment, we would see no new alerts. And then we are able, and if there are some, we are able to view them either by severity or by status. And so here in production 1, you can see that we have 839 open alerts. And then we can check actually how many are of each severity. So here we can see we have 82 critical, 105 major. And in addition to being able to view them by severity, we can actually use the graph that shows them by status. So you can see that 119 are new, which means probably nobody took a look at those yet. And then we have 720 assigned that have been managed, that have been already assigned to someone or checked by someone. So this is it gives you sort of overview. So we do not, there is no restriction on which resource would belong where. So you can create a view for multiple environments. You can create a view that contains only few specific resources. We really don't put restrictions on that. Yeah, and if you were to click the environment, the view to open up, you will be taken to this particular view. And what happens with this view is it's basically expansion. It's basically expansion of the view that you created, and it shows you for each specific resource how many alerts are on each resource. Yeah, so we have resource name system 1, system 2, and we can, for each of the resources, we can see how many alerts of each severity are open there and how many of them are assigned. We also have the overview, like complete stats, which means we have 150 open in total when it comes to critical. And basically, this is done for each of the severities. And again, if you were to click each of the resources, then you would actually be taken back to the alert manager view. However, it would pre-fill the filters so that it would actually list the alerts that came from specific resource. So from then, you can actually, so from here you can always click and then check individually each of the alerts created from that resource and manage those from there. And that's basically the summary of the usage of the alert manager. And I would like to thank you for your attention. And maybe, do we have any questions as of now?
Okay, so I will change the settings so you may unmute yourselves to ask questions. A reminder that the session is recorded, so it will be available soon. Apologies for the building works. And remember also, please, to set your feedback for the session so we can understand what works well. So over to you for any questions. As I say, you can unmute yourself to ask the question, or you can put it in the chat and I will relay it. Okay, if there are no further questions, then I can thank you for your time. Thank Michael for his time, and you know, if you do have anything that you think of later, I'm sure you'll be able to email them to Michael. Have a good rest of your day, and I'm sure I'll see quite a few of you again in the next session.
Thank you again, everyone, and have a nice one, and enjoy the rest of the GSE.